Hey, everybody, John Granato from the bench. Mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. AJ Hoffman from the Blitz. That's afternoons on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please do. Hey, AJ, earlier this week, Albert Breer wrote on Sports Illustrated that regardless of how poorly the situation was handled with the Texans, they still made a really good hire in Nick Caserio. A couple of reasons he thinks the Texans won't be the Patriots South. Number one, David Culley is the exact opposite disposition from Belichick and O'Brien. Culley has a reputation as a unifier. I would agree with this. You know, anytime you have a defensive coach, AJ, you fire him, you got to have an offensive coach because your offense stunk, or whatever the case may be. You always want somebody different. And what that building needs is somebody that is going to, instead of all the tearing down that they had, all the bullying, all the yelling, just his abrasiveness, they need somebody like Culley. I would agree with Albert Breer on this.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that, the cultural aspect of it, this is what the Texans needed. They needed someone who the players wouldn't feel like they had friction with, like they did with O'Brien. I think that from that standpoint, it's a good hire. The question is X's and O's, like what kind of a coach is he on that front? But I do agree, especially during a phase where you know the team is likely not to have a whole lot of success, having a guy who's at least a cultural fit, who the players can at least get behind and want to win for, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I think they were browbeaten. I just think everybody was tired. I just it wasn't, there was no fun, all of those things. And this guy is allegedly just a great, from all accounts, he's a great guy.
Well, when you talk about the New England thing, when guys get out of New England, they're like, oh, it's so good to be, we can have some fun. It's worth it to be there because they win there. If you're not winning, you don't want to deal with that. It's okay, you beat me down all season long, but at the end of the year we get a ring, worth it. If you beat me down all season long and at the end of the year we're 4-12, no one wants to be on a team like that.
Yeah, no. And speaking of, leaving, Caserio, he says he wants to involve the scouts more in the draft process. I heard behind the scenes, I know people that know that organization. The scouts hand in their reports, and then they don't get to talk about it. They just give me your report, and then we'll make the decisions going from here. And AJ, they lose scouts there, and they probably lose a bunch of good people. I mean, it's like in New England, you lose scouts because they don't get say in it. They just have to write the report, and then you don't value their opinion. With Nick Saban in Alabama, that's great. You win championships, but nobody wants to work there. All he loses all his coaches all the time. It's hard to work for those kind of people, and hopefully Nick Caserio isn't going to be one of those kind of people.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the same thing when you've got a guy at the top who's got all the say and he's having success. If you're a scout, it's a great situation to get started in, because when you leave that place, you have a resume of saying, hey, I've worked for this winning organization for X amount of years, and then you can go on and get a job that you actually like. Because it's got to be frustrating to spend hours and hours and hours of work on players, and then at the end of the day, you don't really have much of a say in it. Although, there has to be a line at some point between a GM and a scout. At some point, the GM should be the shot caller. But I think that the wise thing to do is take as much advice as possible from as many people as possible.
Now, his tone and demeanor is also different. With the media so far, he has been much less abrasive than typical Patriots media interactions. We've seen that. He had a lot of patience. Well, it's a limited sample size, a couple of press conferences and an interview here or there. It's been limited. And we'll see if they're losing after their first loss. Nick Caserio is interviewed, and he won't say anything. We have it now is a wonderful time for a general manager because he's undefeated. But we'll see whether or not he brings that Bill O'Brien, Bill Belichick type interaction with the media here. Not that, you know what? I don't care how you act with the media. Win football games. That's all I care about. But it sure would be nice to have a nice guy in there for a change.
Well, the difference always has been, and with Bill O'Brien, it was this same way. Bill Belichick, Greg Popovich, they've always been able to be short with the media, but because they have results that you can't question. When you're short, you're choppy, you're brash with the media, and your results are poor, it just makes you look like a dope. And that's the problem that they always had with Bill O'Brien was Bill O'Brien talked to people like he was smarter than everyone and that he was this guy that shouldn't be questioned or doubted. But then the results said, no, we doubt you. So I think that, based on at least I hope that Nick Caserio is going to at least not try to beat down the media if the results are poor, which we all expect the results to be poor for a little while at least. I think the first couple years, how he handles those poor results, how he handles his interactions with the media based on those poor results will tell you a lot about him.
Yeah, I mean, you have to earn the right to be an a-hole.
You do.
Don't you?
And Bill O'Brien never did.
Never, ever did. And yet he was. Bill Belichick has earned, but can't we just be nice anyway? Do we have to be in it? Even if you're successful, do you have to be in A? Can't you be a good guy even if you win?
I mean, but some guys will say, well, being an a-hole works for me. I've been an a-hole all this time. I don't worry about the media, and I'm getting rings. So what are you going to say?
Everybody wants to be an a-hole, but you know what? Let's be nice. Let's be nice.